In this video, we're going to be discussing some of the leaks from the new season that is coming next month or in a few weeks, which is the Prismverse and both the Way of Winter for PvE. These leaks were either sourced by past information from previous closed beta tests or direct information that has kind of been hidden, even some data mines that I'll be talking about but not showing anything for, because that would be against the terms of service and this video would get taken down if I showed that stuff. However, I will be showing the stuff that I'm allowed to show, but again, the stuff that I'm not allowed to show, you know, that is what it is. I can't really do anything about that. I'm sorry, but if you want to find the data mines, you know, they're out there. They are out there. They're kind of everywhere now. We're going to start with the weapons that are coming. There are so far 3 confirmed weapons coming that have been present in the game files and also in past trailers and closed beta tests. This being the HK416, which is, I guess, similar to an M4, if you will, which was featured both in the IGN trailer and is also present in the game files. Again, I can't show the game files. I'm sorry about that. However, I will show the gameplay that was shown inside the trailer from last year, which does show a decent amount of it in action, with an almost Asimov-like cosmetic on it as well. The second weapon that is actually present in the game files is the XM8. This is quite a cool weapon actually, and is also used by the Rosetta. However, when it was in the game files, it was also present in the player characters subfolders. Again, I'm not going to be showing this stuff. I'm sorry about that. You can probably find the leak somewhere. And another one of the weapons that was briefly mentioned, or another 2 of the weapons that were briefly mentioned in the game files, was the Winchester, which is like an Olympia, the double barrel shotgun where you snap the barrel open. So that is pretty cool and a weapon to look out for. We also have the new tier of weapons. This is called Tier 6, or it's codenamed Tier 6, and is also referred to in the past Once Human wiki from CBT1, I believe, as the superior quality. So currently the legendary quality we have in game is called excellent quality or perfect. It's either perfect or excellent, I can't quite remember, but this new red tier, which was in past CBT gameplay, so in front of you I'm actually allowed to show this stuff, both featured in Doomriss's videos and multiple old Once Human blog posts. These things look pretty wicked. They are sort of like hyper modified, almost mythic like versions of weapons. This is the MP5 Ghost, which looks pretty wicked. We also have a few other ones here, which looks like some kind of AK, an MP7, and the attachments on these things are absolutely kitted out. But judging by these screenshots, we also appear to have maybe a new rarity of accessories that is purely going off the screenshot. This could be old info, cut content, or changed content to live. And that is same with the Tier 6. We don't know about the red rarity until it is confirmed. Tier 6 is definitely confirmed, but whether that's a red rarity or not, we don't actually know, but it seems most likely based on the previous closed beta tests. We also have like this Deagle that is absolutely modified with so many attachments, and again, I can't show some of these weapons. I'm really sorry about that. The leaks are out there. There's even a flare gun mentioned in the files, and one of the other, I guess, specialist weapons that was also mentioned inside the game files was the flamethrower, and the flamethrower was also present way back in IGN's trailer last year with proper gameplay, and I would assume most likely we will get both the flamethrower and the HK416 in Season 2 based on how complete they appear from a trailer that was 8 months old. Another weapon that was briefly mentioned and also shown in a past blog post is the WA2000. This is a new sniper rifle. Looks pretty wicked. It's a pretty cool gun actually. I am allowed to show this screenshot because it is from past closed beta test gameplay, so I will not get in trouble there. Another few cool things that were mentioned in the files in relation to player abilities and I guess specialist tools was like an RCXD, kind of like a remote control car with a little turret on the back. It looks pretty cool. You've got a new melee weapons, you've got a knife, and I guess the next big section that we can jump onto now is the deviations. Probably the reason why you clicked on this video is the new deviations that are coming to the game. Now, there is actually a few of them, and they are pretty cool actually. So there is kind of like a gacha on machine deviant. I don't really know what any of these deviations entails. They kind of look cool. Again, I can't show them to you guys, but I'm going to show you similarities or reference images on the screen of kind of what I'm talking about, so you can kind of get an idea for what they are. This is kind of like a gacha machine deviation. I have no idea what that would do. You've got like a heart similar to the half seed, but it's a little different. It's more of a heart. Maybe this will provide some sort of HP buff or shield buff. We don't really really know. There's a dice. I'm not sure what a dice would do. RNG damage, I don't know. But yeah, there's a dice deviation. There's a camera deviation, which is very similar to the ones you use for the riddles in game, except it's a deviation, which is interesting. I'm not sure what it would do and what its purpose would be. And then these are sort of the big ones we're jumping onto now. One of the, I guess, camera or yeah, I guess a camera deviation or like a heater lamp deviation, very similar to the deviants you see in the open world with the lantern heads, except this guy's got like 4 tentacles with 4 lanterns and a head lantern as well. I hope my images sort of do it justice, but it's kind of like a modified version, and he's like kind of cracked out, so that'll be an interesting deviation. Maybe he applies like a slow to enemies in the area when you use that deviation. I'm not sure. The next one is kind of like a robotic solar system looking thing. This one, I honestly could not even begin to explain this one and what it could do. It's completely futuristic looking and wacky. It looks like it's got lightsaber hilt pieces. Then there's an astronaut deviance. This guy, or astronaut deviation, sorry. This guy, I'm not sure. My best guess is probably a zero gravity deviation, which could be a lot of fun to mess around with for sure. Definitely not useful in PvP, but in PvE that could be a lot of fun. The next one is kind of like a flask or a potion bottle, very cartoony-esque. So I can definitely get a good reference image for this one. I would assume this is probably maybe just a HP deviation, if anything. But again, we don't know what these do. We just have images from the files of the meshes of them that I can't show, but I can talk about. Again, I'm sorry I can't show these. The leaks are out there. The next one is just completely wicked looking. It's kind of like a alien head with like a tanker and a straw coming from it. I can't even begin to explain what the hell this is, but it looks like it's a deviation that goes in your head and gives you some kind of buff maybe, or oxygen, or I really don't know. It's completely wacky looking. The next one is actually very similar to what's shown in the thumbnail. It's kind of like reminds me a little bit of a character from a 2D platformer game. I'll try to find the reference on screen. Can't remember what the platform was called, but it looks like his head combined with like a samurai and some sort of robes. It's pretty interesting. The best vibe I get from this deviation is it's some sort of movement speed buff, but I really can't confirm that. Now, some of the new deviants that we'll jump onto here, again, deviants are the enemies, deviations are your pals, effectively. So some of the new deviants are actually completely just showcased throughout past blog posts and have basically been completely hidden through their website, and it's pretty cool to see some of these enemies, and they were even featured in like previous gameplay tests and previous, again, artworks, key art, and it just gives a real hint at what's coming, and there's some pretty cool stuff. So we've got sort of like a siren telephone pole. He's very similar to the Lear vampire guys, as I call them. There's even like a flying car or like a flying taxi looking thing, which looks pretty interesting. Maybe it's a form of transport from A to B, or some sort of flying enemy that's just going to be really annoying to deal with. There's a smaller version of the Ravenous Hunter, more of like an actual human sort of brute looking guy with a minigun mutated inside his arm. There is a bunch of different sort of smaller deviants, like zombie-like deviants. One nurse that's got like a weird-looking TV radio head. There is some more key art here that I can show you guys that isn't from the game files. This is directly from their website. It's kind of like a lantern lady, very Lady D from Resident Evil vibes, but with a lantern head, kind of interesting. The next one is, the best way I can describe this one, it's kind of like a jukebox with a big hammer hand coming out of it, and it looks like a bonk enemy, and it looks like the kind of thing that will just give you straight nightmares if it randomly popped up in game. Again, I'm going to try and find comparisons for these, but it's a little bit hard. Some of these just really unique out there designs, because some of this stuff is I've just never seen before anywhere, and that's the thing I love about this game. I'm just going to quickly mention here is the enemy designs in this game are so fucking unique. I really don't know how they come up with these, because again, finding some of the reference images for these is going to be really hard, but I hope I do a good job in editing. One of the next enemies is a teleporter doorframe enemy. So sort of like the teleporters you have from the deviation, there's an enemy that uses those teleporters. The closest thing I can describe it to is the mirror enemy that you find in the industrial zone in Iron River. So it looks like, again, one of those another very annoying enemies to deal with. Then we have some bosses, and these are new great ones. These great ones have been openly shown in past artwork, so I can happily show these. There's a corrupted bull. This was shown in an IGN interview from way back in 2022. This thing looks pretty wicked. I'm assuming this is going to be a pretty interesting boss to face. The next one is a boss called the Mousepad. Googling the Mousepad, it's sort of like some fiery enemy, which would align with the themes we are getting next season, where we enter the Arctic northern mountains, and to the left northern side is the volcanic area, which would definitely fit this enemy if it is what it turns out to be. The next one we have is the, I'm just going to call it the triple head bitch. This is openly shown in the promo art, even in a boss fight like arena similar to the Forsaken Giant, and this thing looks wicked, man. This is also openly shown on some of the key art for Steam and the actual banners in Once Human. This guy looks bigger and way more kind of evil, and I guess I like this a lot more than Manibus in the current season. This enemy looks like proper will fuck you up type shit. It's like got 3 heads, like 8 arms, wings, maybe it can even fly, and it looks really cool. I get strong Stranger Things vibes from this boss. Really freaking cool. You get another shot of it here. It is a wicked looking enemy, man. The next thing I have is like a mechanical, like gigantified version of Mr. Wish, and it's got like mini Mr. Wishes surrounding it. This kind of gives me like carnival vibes. I'm assuming this might relate to the new carnival event we are getting in September. This was teased in actually the launch trailer. I think they might have shown that a little bit early or something. I'm not sure why. Got new animals as well. We got an Arctic cat. We have an American bison. A normal cat is coming. So you'll probably be able to tame a normal cat and have it in your base. Horses, which we did see in the taming trailer. Seals are coming. I don't know what seals will do. If you can tame a seal, that'll be pretty cool. Golden eagle, lions, mouse, which is a point we'll come back to later. And of course a polar bear, which is obviously very fitting to the theme. Alright, coming back to that enlarged like rat and mouse we were talking about. In a blog post from a long time ago on the Once Human website, there was something called rift spaces, which we do currently have in the game, except these just expose you to one of the thumper deviants. I don't really know their proper name, but they like stamp on the ground and they create like the shockwave. You know what I'm talking about. Or this like concept is that rift spaces would shrink the player and you would go to a microscopic level to fight an enlarged rat. Now, this could be cut content. This is pure speculation from this one here. I do think this would be a fun experience with the rift spaces, and I do think there's a lot they could do with those open world rift spaces as well, and I hope they do plan to play around with it and add more unique experiences such as this one they talked about a long time ago. It's rather knowing if this is cut content or planned content though. I would more leaning towards this being cut content, but I would like to see it return if the devs watch this. The other sort of thing that is very present in some of the old blogs is that great ones were planned to be open world bosses. You were going to essentially be able to fight great ones anywhere in the open world, not just Prime Wars, by the way. They were going to be actual, I'm assuming maybe public crisis events, much similar to how the Manibus is, and it was going to be very similar to how the Manibus would work, and there would be more of them for all the different great ones in the game. This could also be cut content, and I am leaning more towards that it is cut content, because they did also mention in a blog post later after this that they introduced the monoliths, where you fight the instanced versions of these bosses. More leaning towards that than this old information we have. There's also another shot of the bison here, or the mutated bull, whatever you want to call it. I'm assuming that this is definitely coming soon. Whether that's next season or a season down the line, we don't know. I think this is a future great one though. It is a pretty cool looking enemy. In the screenshot from an old blog post, you can even see the red tier 7, or sorry, the red tier 6 mythic or superior weapons, such as the MP7 and the AK present on the player. So this could again very well be that tier 6 content that we will be getting very soon. There's also some very old blog posts, even from IGN, dating back to the 12th of June 2022. This talks about a PvEVP game mode. Now, this is most likely cut content, I'm gonna be honest, but it's called the Impasse Exploration. This would be a, again, PvPvE game mode where you would defeat creatures and get resources and effectively extract from the zone with what you have looted. Very similar to extraction game modes and extraction shooters, it would sort of take that gameplay loop and shove that into a PvP zone. And as said, that PvP zone would be called the Impasse Exploration. I have provided links for all of these blogs in the description if you wish to check them out for yourself and verify their validity, but I'm pretty confident that this Impasse Exploration is cut content. But I would really like to see an instant secureable game mode, please, Starry. I think everyone, when I say this, wants something that we can quickly get PvP from. We don't have to wait around for cargo scramble events, and that is basically all we know. And I'm saving the most important thing for last, and that is the name of the zone above Blackheart, and that is the Arkham Mountains. Now, this could be an old name, and they might not be called the Arkham Mountains next season, because as we know, the Red Sands area used to be called the Lone Wolf Sands, I believe, and it has since been changed to Red Sands. So it's called the Lone Wolf Wastes, and now it's been changed to the Red Sands. But if the name does stay, it'll be called the Arkham Mountains, which is a pretty cool name. We don't know what the left region is called that we'll also be getting, which is the volcanic area, but we do know that the area right above Blackheart will be called Arkham Mountains or something down that similar vein if they do change it. And again, I'm just going to leave you off with another screenshot here of the red rarity or the superior quality. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.